Have you ever looked at someone and it just doesn't add up? That colleague who seems to just float through the office, never the sharpest mind in the room, never the hardest worker, but somehow their name is the one that gets mentioned in the important meetings. They get the promotion. Or that friend who, despite a trail of broken promises and casual neglect, is always surrounded by people, always seems to get exactly what they want. You watch them, you watch their success, their influence, and a quiet, nagging question forms in the back of your mind. How? And then there's you. You play by the book. You believe in merit, in fairness, in the quiet dignity of a job well done. Your logic is impeccable. If I put in the work, if I am honest, if I am a good person, I will be rewarded. But the rewards don't come. Or worse, they go to the very people who seem to deserve them the least. The feeling, that contrast, is soul-crushing. It feels like you brought a chessboard to a knife fight. Maybe this feels painfully familiar. That promotion you were perfect for, it went to the person who was better at playing golf with the boss. That brilliant idea you shared in confidence during a brainstorming session was presented a week later by someone else to a round of applause. Or maybe in your personal life, you poured your soul into a relationship, offering vulnerability and support, only to realize you were just a convenient emotional pit stop for someone on their way to somewhere else. In these moments, you feel invisible, misunderstood, and you slowly start to think, am I the one who's crazy? No, you are not crazy. And here is a truth that might set you free, or perhaps it will terrify you at first. The problem isn't their intelligence or your lack of effort. The problem is that you are playing two entirely different games. You believe the world is a stage for morality. They know it is an arena for power. And this is the central idea I need you to hold on to, the foundation for this entire journey. They are not stupid. They are playing by the real rules of power. 500 years ago, in the heart of Florence, a diplomat and a banished philosopher dared to write these rules down, not to celebrate them, but to expose them. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. He was cast out, tortured, and misunderstood for centuries because he committed the ultimate sin. He told the unvarnished truth about how power actually works. He held up a mirror to the world, and most were horrified by their own reflection. Machiavelli once wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten off wolves." He wasn't teaching us to be monsters. He was teaching us how to survive in a jungle where they exist. And this brings us to a fundamental and perhaps uncomfortable question. If these real rules of power are so effective, why do they feel so fundamentally wrong to us? Why does playing this game feel like a betrayal of our own soul? What is it about our human nature that makes us so vulnerable to these games of power, and what is the true root of the pain and disappointment we feel? Let's dissect it. The reason this game of power feels like a betrayal of your soul is because it is. It is a betrayal of the story we have been told since birth. The story whispered in classrooms, taught in our homes, woven into every book and movie. Be a good boy. Be a nice girl. Hard work always pays off. Honesty is the best policy. We were raised on these rules. We internalized them. They became our operating system. And our vulnerability is born from this. From the shocking truth I need you to hear clearly. In the arena of power, your greatest virtues are your greatest liabilities. Your goodwill isn't a shield. It's a handle for others to grab. Your desire for harmony and peace isn't a strength. It's leverage they can use against you. Your honesty and transparency aren't a bridge to connection. They are a map you hand-deliver to your rivals, detailing all of your weak points. The moral code you so proudly live by builds the bars of a beautiful, gilded cage. A cage that keeps you safe, but separate from the real world that operates by Machiavelli's rules. To understand why this brutal mechanism works, we must turn to one of Machiavelli's bleakest observations on human nature. He argued that humans are, by their nature, ungrateful, fickle, simulators and deceivers, avoiders of danger, greedy for gain. This doesn't mean people are inherently evil. No, it means they are inherently opportunistic. When personal interest is on the line, the instinct for survival and advancement will almost always override a sense of gratitude or loyalty. Others don't exploit your kindness because they are malicious. They do it because it's efficient, because you allow it. Think about it. That family member who always approaches you with, "You're the only one I can truly count on," right before making a request that crosses every one of your boundaries. They are using your love and your sense of duty as a tool. Recall the crisis friend, the one who only appears when their life is in flames. They are a sponge for your time, your energy, your advice, and the moment the fire is out, you are relegated to the bottom of their priority list until the next emergency. Or that boss who gives you a public shout-out for your dedication and positive attitude, but privately gives the actual bonus, the juicy project, to someone less competent but more politically skilled. The praise was a cheap currency, and you accepted it as payment. These are not small, isolated failures. They are symptoms of a much deeper disease. And this brings us to the ultimate cost. The final price you pay isn't the lost promotion, the wasted energy, or the broken relationship. The ultimate cost is something far more precious. It is the slow, quiet erosion of yourself. Your soul gets worn down bit by bit. Your optimism curdles into cynicism. Your energy gives way to a chronic exhaustion. And worst of all, you begin to build a thick wall of resentment and mistrust around yourself. You hide your inner light because you're afraid it will be exploited. You become a hollowed-out, cautious version of the person you were meant to be. So, here is the question. If our mental operating system, the one based on being good at all costs, is not just obsolete but actively damaging, then what is the alternative? Are we doomed to this binary choice, to remain a naive fool or to become a bitter monster? Is there not a third path, a new mental model that allows for both effectiveness and integrity? A compass for navigating this jungle without becoming one of the wolves?
Yes, there is a third path. A path that doesn't turn you into a victim or a monster. It turns you into a realist, a strategist. The answer lies in a new mental model, which I call the Machiavellian compass. This compass does not point to the moral north or south of good and evil. Its needle only moves between two directions, effective and ineffective. The new mental model is this: stop judging actions by their intentions and start judging them purely by their results. Your old operating system constantly asked, "Was my intention good?" This is a useless question, because your good intentions have no currency in the real world of power. The new operating system asks, did my action produce the outcome that serves my well-being? This is the only question that matters in the game. And here is where I turn the responsibility directly over to you. I want you to look at your life for a moment, not through the lens of, am I a good person? But through this new, sharper lens. And ask yourself this: are my daily actions serving my long-term peace and security, or are they fueling the ambitions of others at my own expense? When you use this compass, you suddenly see that many of your seemingly good and selfless behaviors were in fact devastating strategic blunders. Behaviors like trust on credit. You offer your trust freely, like a gift, hoping it will be honored. The new model says this is a mistake. Trust is not a gift, it is a wage that must be earned through consistent, reliable action. Radical transparency. You share all your plans, your fears, and your weaknesses to build intimacy. This is a mistake. You are handing live ammunition to potential rivals. Appeasing everyone. You agree to unreasonable requests because you're afraid of being disliked or criticized. This is a mistake. You are training people that your boundaries are worthless. Silence for peace. You stay silent in the face of disrespect or injustice to avoid making trouble. This is the biggest mistake of all. With your silence, you endorse the behavior. This brings us to one of Machiavelli's most potent and most misunderstood golden rules. He stated that for a leader, it is much safer to be feared than loved. Now wait, this does not mean become a cruel bully. The word fear here does not mean terror. It means a profound respect for consequences. It means others fear your crossing your boundaries because they know it will not be tolerated. It means your colleague fears stealing your idea because you document your work and will not remain silent. It means your partner fears disrespecting you because you value yourself enough to walk away. This fear is born of respect, not cruelty. But what if you ignore this compass? What if you continue to run on your old, faulty programming? The stakes are higher than you imagine. In the world of power, weakness doesn't inspire sympathy, it attracts predators. Your refusal to play the game doesn't take you off the board, it just makes you a pawn. Continued, predictable niceness doesn't earn you safety. It sends out an open invitation to anyone looking for an easy target. This brings us to the heart of the matter. We understand the why. Now we must learn the how. What are the specific psychological games and social traps these players set for the unwary? What are the invisible strings they use to, without your knowledge, turn you into a puppet in their own private theater?
The answer to how they pull your strings is as simple as it is terrifying. They don't. They pull the strings of a character you have unknowingly agreed to play in their private show. Their primary tool is what Machiavelli understood better than anyone, the absolute dominance of appearance over reality. In the theater of power, the truth is irrelevant. What seems to be true is everything. They don't defeat you with force. They disarm you with a performance. They build a stage, write a script, and cast you in a leading role. And you, with your good intentions, play your part perfectly. Let's meet some of the cast. See if you recognize them. Archetype 1. The professional victim. This is the colleague or family member who is always sighing, always overwhelmed, always drowning in problems. Their performance of suffering is designed to activate your guilt and your savior complex. You rush in to rescue them, taking on their responsibilities. Their weakness is a performance, and your kindness is their ticket to the show. Archetype 2. The charming debtor. This is the friend or partner who bombards you with flattery, compliments, and praise. You are the best. What would I do without you? They are making deposits into an emotional bank account they've opened in your name. So when they need to make a huge withdrawal, a big favor, you feel you can't possibly say no. You're indebted. Their charm is a transaction. Archetype 3. The fragile genius.
This is the person who presents themselves as brilliant and creative, but too sensitive, too anxious, too delicate to handle the harsh realities of the world. They cast you in the role of their protector, their shield, their manager. You do the hard work, you handle the confrontations, you absorb the emotional blows, all to protect their gift. Their fragility is their weapon. And here we arrive at the most bitter truth of this entire play, a truth that might break your heart and then will set you free. In these dynamics, they are not in a relationship with you. They are in a relationship with the function you serve. You are not a friend, you are the helper. You are not a partner, you are the savior. You are not a colleague, you are the problem solver. You are not a complex human being. You are a one-dimensional character, and the moment you step out of character, your value to them evaporates. So, how do you bring down the entire theater? How do you escape the stage? You make the one move they can never anticipate. The game-breaking move is this: you stop reading your lines. When the professional victim sighs, you don't rush in to help. You listen with detached empathy. When the charming debtor flatters you, you simply say, "Thank you," and walk away. You don't return the favor. When the fragile genius laments the cruelty of the world, you say, "I understand that must be difficult," and you let them face it. You shift from being an actor on the stage to being a member of the audience. You refuse to play. When you do this, you seize a new kind of power, a power that isn't loud or aggressive or forceful. It's quiet. It's subtle. It's the power of the void. But what is this power of strategic silence, of calculated non-reaction? In a world that screams at us to do something to win, how can doing nothing be the most powerful move of all?
We live in the age of the immediate reaction, a relentless vortex of notifications, hot takes, and impulsive replies. In a world where everyone is shouting, no one is truly heard. A constant storm of scattered energy. In this deafening noise, the most powerful sound is silence. In this chaotic game, the most powerful move is often no move at all. We have been conditioned to see silence as weakness, passivity, or fear. This is a profound and dangerous misunderstanding. The calculated detachment we are speaking of is not a passive act. It is an act of supreme control. Your silence is not an empty space, it is a fortress. Your non-reaction is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of a strength so great that it refuses to be wasted on pointless battles. It is a declaration of sovereignty that says, with more force than any shout, you do not have the power to command my emotional reaction. You cease to be a reactor and become an observer. But why is this so powerful? From a Machiavellian perspective, its mechanism is brutally simple. Go back to the theater. A manipulator is an actor who needs a reaction from the audience to know their performance is successful. Your angry outburst, your tearful defense, that is their standing ovation. It's the proof that their performance landed. Your reaction gives them information, it gives them fuel. It tells them their strings are working. When you offer them nothing, a void, you rob them of their fuel. You tear up their script and they don't know how to improvise. You become a black hole for their provocations. They send out a signal and get only static in return. It confuses them, it unnerves them, and most importantly, it takes the control from their hands and places it firmly back in yours. Let's look at a real-world example. Imagine that colleague or boss who wants to undermine you sends a scathing, accusatory email
copying several other people. Their goal is clear: to provoke you into an emotional response and make you look unstable. The old reaction. Your heart pounds, your fingers tremble as you hammer out a long, detailed, emotional reply, defending your honor, pointing out their injustices. You hit send. The result? You gave them exactly what they wanted, an emotional spectacle. The new reaction, calculated detachment. You read the email, you take a deep breath, and you close the laptop. You go on with your day. Hours later, or even the next day, you reply with a calm, detached, and surgically precise message. A message like, "Thank you for your perspective. It has been noted." Or even more powerful, "Received." The result? All the toxic energy of their attack dissipates into the void of your calm. They have no information on your emotional state. You appear strong, in control, and unreadable. You have won the battle without ever drawing your sword. Now, I must be honest, this path has a cost. People who are used to using your energy and kindness will hate this new version of you. They will label you. You've changed. You're so cold now. You're being selfish. At first, you may feel lonely. But hear me clearly. This is not a cost. It is a filter. These labels are the sound of manipulators losing their grip. The people who exit your life when you establish boundaries are the very people who never deserved to be in it in the first place. Their departure is not a loss. It is a purification, a quiet victory. And whenever you feel tempted to fall back into the old game of reactions, repeat this mantra to yourself. Carve it into your mind. My peace is my weapon. This philosophy is powerful. This redefinition is liberating. But inspiration without action is just a pleasant dream. So the final, most crucial question remains: how? How, in the heat of the moment, when our heart is pounding and our pride is wounded, do we actually practice this art of calculated detachment? What are the first concrete, practical steps we must take starting tomorrow morning?
Let's be perfectly clear. Knowing all of this changes nothing. Awareness without action is the most elegant form of self-deception. This is where philosophy ends and practice begins, right now. The art we are going to practice is not the art of being cold or ghosting people. It is the art of the deliberate pause. It is the conscious creation of a space, a sacred space, between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. This isn't about ignoring others. It's about taking back control of your own response time. In that space of a few seconds lies your freedom. In that space lies your power. This is not a mountain to be climbed in one day. It is a path to be walked, one small step at a time. Here are your first steps, starting today. 1. The 24-hour rule. For any provocative email, text, or comment, commit to waiting a full 24 hours before you even think about replying. Let the emotional fire burn out. Decisions made in a state of calm are always wiser. 2. The bridge phrase. Instead of an instant yes or no, master the phrase, "Let me check my calendar and I'll get back to you." This simple sentence buys you invaluable time to think without creating immediate conflict. 3. The thank you full stop. When someone flatters you, especially a charming debtor, simply say, "Thank you," period. Full stop. Don't feel the need to return the compliment or offer a concession. Accept the words and give nothing else back. 4. The observation log. For 1 week, don't try to change a thing. Just keep a small log in your phone or a notebook. Every time you feel that pressure for an immediate reaction, just note the situation. Just observe. Awareness is the first victory.
That's it. These are small, powerful, manageable steps. As you practice this, people will challenge your new boundary. They will demand an explanation for your pause. Why didn't you answer me? Are you mad at me? And here is the golden rule that will set you free. Carve this into your soul. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your silence. Your pause is not a provocation that requires justification. It is a right that you are exercising. Your time and your emotional energy are yours alone to command. And as I said, this path will feel lonely at first. The old validation from pleasing others will be gone. Machiavelli would not call this loneliness. He would call it the prince's retreat. A wise ruler doesn't spend all day in the chaotic city square. They retreat to their fortress to observe the terrain, to plan their strategy, to consolidate their power. This period of deliberate isolation is not a sign of defeat. It is a necessary phase for anyone who wants to go from being a piece on the board to a player in the game. So, how do you know if you're making progress? Here is your litmus test. Pay close attention to who becomes uncomfortable with the new you. The people who quietly respect your new boundaries, they are your allies. The people who push back, who call you selfish, who try to guilt you back into your old role, they are the ones who are benefiting from your weakness. Their discomfort is the measure of your success. This practice is a kind of controlled demolition. You are tearing down the flimsy structures of people-pleasing and false harmony. It is a dusty, painful, and sometimes lonely work. But when the dust settles, when the false structures are gone, what then? What kind of inner kingdom is built upon this newly cleared ground? What lies on the other side of this sacred pain?
On the other side of this sacred pain is not a void, it is a kingdom. Your inner kingdom. At first, the silence that follows the storm of others' demands is deafening. You're not used to it. But slowly, the silence evolves from an empty space into a clean canvas. And finally, it becomes your throne, a place from which you observe the world with clarity, with calm, and with unshakable power. And in this kingdom, the rewards are internal and absolute. Where there was once the frantic buzz of anxiety, there is now the deep hum of calm. Where there was once the desperate need for external approval, there is now the quiet confidence of self-sovereignty. Where you were once reactive, pulled by every passing whim of the world, you are now fully present, anchored in the moment, commanding your own presence. You are no longer a leaf in the wind. You are the mountain the wind blows against. And this is the great shift, the final transformation. Remember this. You cease to be a character in other people's stories and become the author of your own. You are no longer waiting for your next line. You are holding the pen. And here, in your own kingdom, you will discover the most liberating paradox of this entire journey. By embracing this hard-edged realism, you don't lose your capacity to connect, you purify it. You will lose the allegiance of the users, the manipulators, and the emotional parasites, but you will gain, for the very first time, the unshakable allegiance of yourself. You learn to love from a place of strength, not need, to trust from a place of wisdom, not naivete, to connect from a place of wholeness, not lack. The person you become is rare. In a world of loud opinions, you possess quiet conviction. In a world of desperate neediness, you have self-possession. You are not loud, but you are heard. You are not aggressive, but you are respected. You become unforgettable not for the noise you make, but for the unshakable peace you embody. This journey does not end with this video. It begins.
The choice is now yours. Will you remain a character in the theater of power, or will you pick up the pen and write your own story? If you are ready to make that choice, to claim this power for yourself, go to the comments right now and write this declaration for yourself and for all of us to see. I choose my peace. By doing so, you're not just making a promise to yourself, you are joining a silent army of liberated realists. Welcome to the other side. Welcome to your kingdom.